All right, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
This is awesome to see everybody in the hangar again. Bring a tear to my eye. Get back in there, tear. All right, over to you.
944th Fighter Wing, welcome to today's Commander's Call. The 944th Fighter Wing continues to do incredible work. Our name, reputation, and the path that we forge through the hard work and dedication that each and every one of you bring to the fight. We'll kick off this morning by recognizing the elite reserve citizen airmen who were selected as the first quarter award winners. Airman of the quarter from the 414 Maintenance Squadron at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, Senior Airman Tamika Thompson. NCO of the quarter from the 924th Maintenance Squadron at Davis Mountains Air Force Base, Technical Sergeant Bryce Olson. Senior NCO of the quarter from the 944th Public Affairs Office, Master Sergeant Louis Vega. Company Grade Officer of the quarter from the 944th Maintenance Squadron, Captain Blake Conlon. Field Grade Officer of the quarter from the 944th Medical Squadron, Major Zaid Fadul. Instructor Pilot of the quarter from the 944th Operations Group, Detachment 2, Major Garrett Omohandro. An Instructor Weapon Systems Officer of the quarter from the 307 Fighter Squadron at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, Captain Timothy Chenault. Let's give one more round of applause for all of our quarterly winners. We also have many wing members who have worked tirelessly to reach their education goals. 44 of your teammates have recently graduated with a degree from the Community College of the Air Force. If you are a recent CCAF graduate, please stand. Speaking of great accomplishments, we would also like to recognize the 944th Force Support Squadron Military Personnel Flight for being named the 2020 Air Force Reserve Command Military Personnel Flight of the Year. Please give all those recognized today another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Aaron Buchanan.
Good morning, everyone. I echo what Col Greenwald said. This is an amazing day for me specifically. I became your Command Chief on 16 March. I promptly checked into the front office and got my computer, and the boss said, "Congratulations, you get to go home and telework for the unforeseen future due to COVID." So for me to see everybody in the hangar faces, even though we're wearing these, I see your eyes, and it means a lot to me to be able to stand here and this is the first time that we're getting to do this live in person without the video. So I have a few things that I want to share with you this morning, and then we'll get right over to the boss. Chief Staff of the Air Force, if you don't already know, he has released the new Air Force mission statement: to fly, fight, and win, air power anytime and anywhere. So if you don't already know it, get to know it. because that's going to be important in all the doctrine and the articles and things that you read. There's going to be a theme there, which is that air power, anytime, anywhere. Recently, the Inspector General has released the Racial, Ethnic, and Gender Disparity Review Survey. I do believe that came out from the Secretary of the Air Force, and everybody should have received that email. They have extended the deadline to go ahead and provide your comments to May 9th. It's extremely important that we are making sure we're filling out these surveys, or at least reading them. This is your opportunity to share your story, your views, and your concerns. Recently in April, the Air Force Doctrine Hub #1, there was a new rollout. It's a very brief read, but it's extremely interesting. It's 16 pages. If I can read it, I know you can. The core themes to the revised Hub are the foundation and evolution of air power and the concept of mission command. Again, like I said a few minutes ago, or probably a minute ago, air power, that's that theme there. I want to give a plug, if you will, for the Air Force Connect app. How many people have the Air Force Connect app on their phone? Okay, that's a fair amount. It's got a lot of great information on there. Now that we're kind of opening up the travel, if you will, for us to go TDY, most bases have the Connect app information for their wing. It has a lot of great information. It's got base maps, it's got travel information, COVID information for specific bases. It's free to download. It can't hurt. And two shameless plugs I'll put out there for that is there's an action line button on the 944 Fighter Wing Connect portion that is a direct communication link to Colonel Greenwald, Colonel Rasmus, and myself, that you can ask questions, make comments, and remain absolutely anonymous. The information goes to PA, and they forward those questions and comments up to us. So that's your direct line, and I challenge you to use it. It's a great tool for the boss and I. The top 3 is rolling out, or has rolled out, a button on the Air Force Connect app that's called Ask a Senior NCO. This is your opportunity for mentoring, feedback, guidance, information from anybody within the top 3 board. And they will make sure that they get those questions out to other members in the top 3 so that you're kind of getting a well-rounded perspective of answers and guidance. Lastly, I'd like to close with a few great things that have happened within the past 2 months. We have a new chief within the wing, and I don't believe he's in the audience right now, but it's Chief Mike Pedraza. He pinned on yesterday, and he is the Security Forces manager. So if you see him around, please congratulate him. He definitely earned it. Secondly, I know that we have in the audience the 944th MXS First Sergeant. Sergeant Timney, please stand up. There you go. So Sergeant Timney on Friday graduated from the First Sergeant Academy as an honor grad. Please give him a round of applause. I got to spend some time this week with Chief Perry, who was Diamond 1, as well as our headquarters Afric First Sergeant Functional, and they send their congratulations. They're super proud of you, as am I. So I'm glad to see you're back. We need you to get to work. Lastly, I'd like to close with, for those of you that don't know, we had a 12 OAY, a 10th Air Force 12 OAY winner and nominee from the 924 Fighter Group, and specifically the 924th MXS, Staff Sergeant Christy Riley. And this week, on Wednesday, is when they will reveal the winners for the Headquarters Reserve 12 OAY. So, really hoping that that she will be the poster child for the Air Force Reserve Command. I think that's it for me. I'm done stuttering and standing up here. I'll pass it over to Colonel Greenwald. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Chief, thank you. And once again, it is amazing to see everyone in the hangar. And this will be, regrettably, my last opportunity to see all of you gathered together in a one each traditional legacy style commander's call. So this is fantastic. Thanks for coming out this morning. Okay, we should see a slide up there. It should be a bundle of sticks. Are we good? Yeah, all right. I had the privilege of giving you not only my last commander's call address, but somehow I have to weave that in with the kickoff to our extremism stand-down day. So I'm going to try my best to try to weave those two topics together. So without further ado, what we're looking at here is a bundle of sticks. Everyone should know that a stick is strongest when it's bound together with a bunch of its mates, right? And we know that, that's obvious. You hear me talk all the time about the things that add to our team here, the diverse perspectives, the diverse backgrounds, the diverse skill sets, the diverse points of view that all of our elite reserve citizen airmen bring to the equation, and that makes us better. What we don't talk about very often is the rope. What's the rope that holds us together? The thing that binds us into a cohesive unit that makes it harder for us to be influenced or broken, right? I'll since you're not going to throw out any answers to me, I'll just answer my own questions. I would say that it's our shared values, our core values, our shared mission, our uniform, right? Our shared standards that we uphold. And the oath of office that we all take, right? We have those things in common, and those form the foundation of trust that we all have together, and that's the rope that binds us together. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those today in the context of why we are talking about extremism in the ranks. Next slide, please. Okay, we make promises every day, right? Does that look familiar? Anyone ever clicked yes on one of those end user license agreements? Who reads all the fine print? Do we have legal in here? I know they read it all. I don't. I click straight through. But man, that's a promise. We're making a promise that we're going to uphold all that stuff, right? We accept cookies on our computer routinely, right? That's a promise. It's not an oath. An oath is a solemn vow that we make publicly. We stand up in front of our peers and we make a vow that we are going to hold dear certain aspects of our culture, our values, and the beliefs of the organization that we're joining. So this, the oath that we all take includes elements, some of it's different. The officers take a little bit of a different oath than our enlisted folks, but it all includes something along these lines, that I will uphold, that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, right? And we swear that we will obey the orders of the President, whether we voted for him or not, whether we agree with his policies or not, and that we'll obey the orders of the officers appointed above us. That's our solemn oath that we stand up in public and we make. And that's one of the pieces of rope that binds us together. Next slide, please. Our core values. We're all familiar with these, but today I'm going to talk about the middle one. The one that says service before self. We're all pretty familiar with it. And in the context that I'm going to use today, I'm talking about how we vow that we are going to subjugate our personal beliefs, our personal values, our personal liberties, our personal freedoms, and we're going to put those behind the ones that we just swore to uphold in the oath, right? That's what the service before self means. means that we voluntarily give up some of our unalienable rights. That doesn't mean that we give up all of our rights. We still exercise our rights as a citizen to vote and participate in the political process, but we do promise that we're going to not air our political views publicly in the public square while we're wearing a uniform, right? So that's one of the ways that service before self applies to today. All right, next slide, please. We've all seen this picture. This is a retired Air Force officer, and he is on the floor of the United States Capitol on January 6th, and he's clearly got it wrong. He has somehow decided that his personal beliefs, his personal political views, his personal freedoms and liberties are greater than those that he swore to support and defend, are greater than that service before self, that his personal views are above the oath of office, right? And that's what we can't have. It should be obvious, right? Everyone's sitting here thinking, well, duh. We know we're not supposed to do that. We're just going to throw the book at him, and yeah, he's in a little bit of trouble right now. There are a whole host of processes that are being used to hold him and those like him accountable. Right? But what we're trying to do with this stand down day, and why it got our leadership's attention so much, is the way that military members were radicalized to where we were willing to forget about our oath and forget about our core values. And that's the piece that we're talking about. And the question is, how did it happen? How does that happen? Right? I'll give you my opinion. We're folks, the National Defense Strategy tells us that we are engaged in great power competition and names our adversaries, China and Russia. We're competing with China and Russia on a global scale for influence. Who's ever heard the term asymmetric warfare? Anyone? You familiar? All right, what asymmetric warfare means is that I use instruments of my power outside of kinetic force, outside of direct force-on-force engagement to attack and undermine and defeat my enemy, right? So I would submit that this is a symptom of that asymmetric warfare that's being waged on us right now. So, next slide, please. So, anybody ever hear of the Pew Research Center? Pew Charitable Trust is a nonprofit think tank. It's widely regarded as one of the most unbiased and reliable sources of demographic information out there, right? So the Pew Research Center, and this is from both sides. So you talk to people on the far right, far left, they both trust the Pew data. So Pew has been doing these surveys since going back to 1994. They asked a whole bunch of Republicans, they asked a whole bunch of Democrats, a bunch of questions, and they categorized their responses as liberal or conservative. And you can see that in 1994, we got a whole bunch of people lumped up in the middle. The medians, which are basically the average response, are pretty close to the middle, right? And that's kind of what you would expect. So that tells us that we've got a lot of people that can see both sides of the story and are willing to maybe make a choice that goes against their professed political party when needed, right? So that's 1994. Slide, please. So 2017 looks a little different. The middle is much smaller. The extremes are much bigger, and the medians are much farther apart. That shows that the divide is increasing, right? The divide between the political parties is increasing. The responses to these questions were more consistently liberal or more consistently conservative. So what does that tell me? What happened? What happened between 1994 and 2017 in America? Any ideas? Do we have any great, big, crises of morality or, big social something? Here's my opinion. Social media. Beginning in the late 90s, communication in the world became easy. Mass communication became available to everyone. We could air our opinions globally, anonymously, and without consequence. And that contributed to an advancing of the divisiveness of our communication. Because there were no restrictions on communication. When I'm talking to somebody face to face, I talk differently than if I'm posting something anonymously online, right? We've all experienced that. So I will say that what we've seen is that since 1994 and 2017, public discourse has gotten increasingly less civil and increasingly more divisive. And going back to the previous slide, I will submit that our adversaries have been watching us, and they've been asking themselves, how do we defeat the United States of America? We've shown the world that when we get behind something, when we get everyone rowing in the same direction, we're unbeatable. But I'll tell you that our adversaries are betting that if they can separate us, they can divide us, that's their path to victory. And I will argue that that's what's going on. And they're capitalizing on two of the main strengths of our system, our openness and our diversity to do it. America has a huge, diverse population, right? And unlike our adversaries, our folks can freely express their opinions. And folks are taking advantage of that. And they're sowing seeds of discontent. And that's what we're seeing. That's allowing folks like our retired Air Force officer to become radicalized to the point that they forget about the oath that they swore. That they forget about, support and defend the Constitution, service before self. So that's there. I encourage you, slide please. I encourage you to watch this movie. I don't order you to watch it. I can't order you to. It's widely available. Anybody watched it? Anybody seen this movie? Yeah. I encourage those of you who haven't to watch it. It's available on streaming platforms of your choice, and it's gonna, if nothing else, it will prompt a lot of questions along the lines of what we were just talking about. The interaction of social media in our society and the strength of our system. So I encourage you to do that. But since I'm talking about diversity of thought, get a second opinion. Slide, please. There's at least one guy out there on the internet that didn't like the movie. He says, I don't know if you can read it, but he says, social dilemma manipulates you with misinformation as it tries to warn you of manipulation by misinformation. So the point there is get a second opinion. Get diverse in your thoughts, in your sources of information. And if you're one of the folks that's in that big bump on the graph to the right or the left, I would encourage you to occasionally reach out and talk to somebody on the other side, and do it in a way that doesn't have an agenda. Have a conversation that's not trying to draw somebody out into a debate. That's the only way that we're gonna get ourselves back to that first graph where we're more in the center and we're more together. So I encourage you to be diverse in your thoughts, be diligent and disciplined in your pursuit of information online, and just realize people are out there trying to influence us. All right, now I'm going to get a little personal. Okay, to wrap this up into the core values, right? The ties that bind us together. Why do we serve? Why did we voluntarily give up some of our rights? Why do we do it? Well, I can answer for myself. For me, the answer is you guys. It's you, the airmen in this organization that give meaning and purpose to this service. And it's folks like, slide please. Should see a picture of Lieutenant Paris Mandy up there. Lieutenant Mandy is in the ASTS. She's a nurse, and she deployed to New York City last year on 48 hours notice. She deployed into the worst COVID outbreaks, the worst public health emergency in the history of New York City, and she did it 3 months after she gave birth to her firstborn. That's service before self, folks. Next slide. That's Senior Airman David Broom, 924th AMXS. He's a crew chief, and when he's not working on A-10s, he is a network administrator for the U.S. Army Sergeant Major Academy. That's a diverse career. That's a broad background. Amazing. Next slide. Lieutenant Colonel Jim Farrell. He's new to our wing. He's been in every component of the Air Force, active duty, guard, and now reserve. He's been in every status except for an ARC. Working on that. He's been an IMA. He's been a TR, an AGR. And he's got an incredibly diverse background. Apparently on his civilian side, he won't work for any company that doesn't go by an abbreviation. IRS, FBI, FEMA, incredibly diverse background there. Next slide. Let's see. Senior Airman James Bowen. He's a 924th also. He is a conventional maintenance tech, and he's a firefighter on the Auction Native American community. And not only that, but he's a part of a family of firefighters. Two of his sisters, his uncle, and 2 of his aunts are also firefighters, and that's amazing. So, it kind of prompts the question, why is he not a firefighter for us? But that's the beauty of our system, the diversity of backgrounds. Next slide, please. Senior Master Sergeant Pomerevo. When he's not wearing the uniform, he is running a martial arts studio in Tucson. Fantastic, love it. Next slide. Senior Airman Rael Ratish, 944th LRS. This is awesome. She immigrated to the United States as an adult. She's earned 2 bachelor's degrees. She is a nurse on the outside. She's a registered nurse, she's a wife, she's a mother, and she's an elite reserve citizen airman. That's fantastic. I love it. So next slide, please. So it's those airmen. Those are the airmen that give meaning and purpose to this, the thing that I have done my entire adult life, 32 years I've been in the service of this country. That's because of these people, because of you folks. Team, that's the bundle of sticks that I showed at the beginning, bound together with a common set of beliefs, a mission, uniforms, standards, a family, folks. That's what it means to me to serve. And I tell you, in a month, I'm going to put this uniform on for the last time, and that is going to be tough. It's going to be tough to walk away, to separate myself from that bundle of sticks, to go on my own, no longer bound together with those common beliefs and my comrades in arms. That, folks, is going to be tough. Next slide. So we come back to the bundle of sticks, and I'll leave you with a challenge, folks. I talked about what gives you meaning and purpose. So I would challenge you to cherish your service. Cherish the oath that you swore, and honor your teammates, honor your comrades by upholding those values and hold yourself to the standards that we all agree to. Honor your service, cherish it. Okay? And I would also challenge you to remember to keep those things above your own personal beliefs. Keep that oath. Keep the core values above your personal freedoms and liberties. Next slide. I think we have the video. So the last part of the challenge that I'll offer you is to hold ourselves accountable. Be disciplined. Be disciplined with your social media. Be disciplined as your pursuit of information. Realize that people are acting not in our interests out there, and they're actively competing for your loyalty. And they're trying to deceive you. So don't be tricked. Don't be deceived into elevating something other than your core values above that. Don't be led astray. Don't be tricked into allowing your personal beliefs to overcome the vow that you swore, the oath that we swore, and the core values, the standards that we uphold. And finally, hold each other accountable. Be a good wingman, right? If you see one of your teammates starting to make a bad decision, do what you'd do if they were getting ready to get behind the wheel of a car after having one too many drinks, folks. It's the same thing. Be a good wingman. Help us all to keep each other accountable. So as I approach the end of my 32 years wearing the cloth of this nation, It's, like I said, it's bittersweet, but I'll leave you with this. I am blessed beyond measure for the privilege to have served. And I'm doubly blessed that I was able to serve with an incredible team of elite reserve citizen airmen like yourselves. I thank you for allowing me to be your teammate for the last 2 years. And like I said, that these last 2 years has been the pinnacle of my professional life, and it's because of all of you. So, thank you for that. The future of the wing and the future of the Air Force is in your hands. I know that you are going to continue to advance the culture of airmen. I know you're going to honor the legacy of those airmen that went before us, and I know that that you are going to do incredible things with this wing with the Air Force. Now go out there and forge and fight. Thanks, everybody.